Fuck it!
Welcome to the 5 days. Enjoy the 5 days of dread. Hello everybody, welcome back to CyberDan and welcome to the first ever 5 Days of Dread. I am very excited about this. It's been a while since I've really done any movie review or any, ongoing series. So this is going to be very, very special. I'm hopefully going to make it an annual thing. And today it's going to be Nightmare on Elm Street. I have my guest today, my co-host, is going to be my friend David. David, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Dan. How you doing?
Doing great. Thank you for joining me today, and hopefully we'll have you on board for the full week.
Sounds good. Hopefully.
Yeah. It's been great. I've had to go back and watch the movies again, and even though we're only doing the first one today, I have not. I haven't really picked them up in a long time, so it was something. It was out of the ordinary for me to go back and watch some horror movies. But I love them. Are you a horror aficionado?
Not aficionado, but I do enjoy them.
That's great. That's the only criteria I was looking for. So, Nightmare on Elm Street. What did you think of it when you first saw it?
First time I saw it, I was probably too young to see it and understand a lot of it, but it was pretty freaky then, and it is still freaky now.
Yeah, and especially since, I don't know if you watched many of the later ones.
I have. I think I've seen all of them.
Oh, okay. Then that's perfect. I watched all of them, and it's really funny because as they progress, as we get further into the series, Freddy Krueger, he becomes a little bit more of a comical character. So
yeah,
but in a good way. In a good way. I like every version of Robert Englund's Freddy Krueger. He's good as a really serious killer. And he's also he has the comedic chops as well.
Right.
Did you have a preference of whether you like him as a serious villain versus a more comedy kind of villain?
Comedy was better for me because, as I said, I saw all this movie way too young, so it did freak me out a little bit. So once more comedy came into it, it helped out. That's great. Yeah, it's I think he fell into that one niche that most people I guess most actors can't really do, where they go into comedy and horror at the same time. Because I guess some have tried, but they haven't really pulled it off. But Robert Englund did great. So into the nitty gritty of it, the movie actually, as a whole, I believe that it's obviously a classic, but I think that there was a lot to it, a lot more to it than that. I think that a lot of even though it had some star power and Robert Englund and the first ever appearance of Johnny Depp. A lot of it had a big it was a resurgence, I think, for horror movies as a whole, and really there was nothing other than
like, I guess you could say there was negativity from critics, but eventually became a cult classic. What do you think about that?
Well, yeah, for sure. If ratings were bad, nobody was really watching it, and then they had their own. I mean, who hasn't worn that sweater for Halloween at least once?
Oh yeah, no, the sweater has become iconic.
Yeah, so definitely, I think the cult following helped a lot and made it very successful.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, everything from the coat to the razor fingers, razor glove, and even the fedora. I mean, like, there's a lot to it that Robert Englund added to the ambiance, to the character of Freddy Krueger. And if for people who are unfamiliar with Nightmare on Elm Street, it is a story about I kind of like, it throws you into it right away, where it tells you the story of Freddy Krueger, how he was killed in a fire by parents who really didn't know any better, who but who would have guessed that he would have come back? I mean, he was a criminal. He did some really disturbing stuff. I'm not going to really go into like the full crime. Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to go into the crime because that might get this channel like taken down. But he gets killed in a fire, and he becomes like a being that can invade the minds of, or the dreams of, the children who I guess it started off on Elm Street, on the in the town where he was killed, but it was the children of the parents who killed him. But it kind of evolved from that after, I guess, the first movie, because eventually when we got to like movies like Freddy vs. Jason, it like went beyond Elm Street. I don't know. What do you think about the like it kind of like the movie evolving from being about like one isolated incident to like everywhere?
Right. I mean, it kind of had to do that if it was gonna keep going. Otherwise, you know, nobody's gonna live on that street if that's the only people that are dying.
No, exactly, the best tourist attraction, right?
So I mean, I enjoyed it. I did enjoy Freddy vs. Jason too. I like all
they all have their charm.
Horror stuff, yeah.
Oh yeah, all of them had their like great, like everybody had like the good chemistry, and I don't know. There was a lot to love about like I would say all the Friday movies, all Friday 13th movies. I guess Friday movies would be a completely different video.
Yeah, we could do that. You know, we could partake and then talk about it.
Yep, and move on to talking about Ice Cube and such. But so like the main character ends up being the person that I didn't really think who was going to end up being the main character, in Nancy Thompson, played by Heather Langenkamp. And I thought, like, I actually have spoken to the Heather Langenkamp before, and she's a really nice person, really down to earth, and she played a really good character in Nancy Thompson, who actually comes back for a few of the other movies. She was like the final girl in Nightmare on Elm Street, where like I guess she continued on for a few movies, and then, as opposed to like Friday the 13th, where the final girl ends up dying in the next movie, you know. Well, yeah, and like I said before, it's Johnny Depp's like premiere appearance, his debut. And he had quite the outing, if you if you want to put it that way. What did you think of his portrayal as Glenn?
Glenn. That's Johnny Depp's character, right?
Yeah, he was the person that the boyfriend of Nancy who could not stay awake.
I mean, I don't think I could stay awake either. So, I mean, that was probably the most relatable character. Just like
exactly. And then she had to explain to him, like, "Oh, don't fall asleep." It's like, "What do you want me to do? Just stay awake forever, right?"
I don't think they make a drug that does that yet.
I think that is literally impossible unless you.
right. So he's gonna die either way.
Yep.
Might as well die in your dreams.
Might as well die, while you're relaxed, right? Even though it's it's the least relaxing thing to be eaten by a bed.
Right.
Yeah, when I first saw that scene, it was actually, I think it's about like at least a little over halfway through the movie when we see that kill, and when I saw it for the first time, it actually freaked me out big time. I was like, holy crap, that's like horrifying. And
Yes.
I think most of it was the music, because the music during that part was bone chilling to me. It was it was really harsh, like almost the ring from Psycho almost.
Yeah.
But in a more like dark way, I guess you would put it. While I guess you call it a remix, but no, that kill was probably my favorite of the movie because it was pretty. I would say it was the most creative for me. Mostly because of the overuse of blood.
Right.
And how they actually, I think what they did was they turned the room upside down, like not real. They didn't really like turn the camera upside down or anything, but they created an upside down room and had the blood pour out that way. So it was actually that's a really creative way of doing it, and made it even better. That wasn't like CGI blood or anything.
Right.
So I guess they just. Yeah, they had like a bunch of Kool-Aid.
I like all the old school way they do kills. Kind of fun.
Yeah. What would you say your favorite of this movie, and then maybe of the series, would be?
Favorite kill?
Yeah, favorite kill.
I mean, Tina's kill was pretty disturbing.
That was pretty epic. Yeah, I wouldn't say like epic in a way that cool or like I wouldn't say it's like desirable, but it was pretty it was very like gritty. It was something that you like. If you did it today, I'm sure like a bunch of people would get really pissed off. So it's
She was hunted down for sure.
Oh yeah, no, it was actually a pretty clever way of introducing Freddy, actually, because she was the first kill, right?
I think so. The one that goes up on the ceiling. Yeah.
Yeah, and she just like clawed all over. Yeah, and,
almost like an exorcist.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it also reminded me of, because that's another movie I was watching like recently was The Exorcist, and it's not like a gross out kind of a kill, except for like if you're susceptible to like blood effects.
Right.
But
it was just the chase down was a little disturbing, and then climbing on the walls was well out there.
Oh yeah. And actually, it was really cool. Another thing about the going back to Johnny Depp for a second, it was really funny how he actually came back for like a small cameo in, I believe it was Freddy Lives. I'm not sure. Yeah, I get the names mixed up sometimes, but I think it was the 4th movie where he shows up on like for like a one of those TV ads in a dream, you know? This is your brain on drugs kind of thing with an egg. I don't know if you remember that part.
I do.
It was pretty goofy. If you, I just that was actually one of my favorite like kills throughout the series, especially since they didn't at that point they knew they weren't taking themselves seriously, right. And but they were just having fun with it. I love that. And they still added the gore factor too, so the best of every world.
Yeah, they came hard with that first kill, and then having fun later on made it cool.
Yeah. There was a lot of I guess you would say there are a lot of gore effects, but they weren't like puke, you know, I can just remember so many kills throughout horror movies that are just they want to turn your stomach. I guess that there was one I watched recently. Like there was a Hellraiser movie. I believe it was the most recent one, Judgment, and and that was just gross out gore. It wasn't. There was nothing adding to the story or anything. It was just plain disgusting. Like there's a part where this guy gets have you ever seen Judgment, by the way?
I don't think so.
Okay, are you a fan of Hellraiser at all?
I do recall watching Hellraiser, but I'm not
okay.
quite sure how long. It's been a while.
Yeah. I just didn't want to like ruin anything, but
oh no, you're fine.
Yeah, it's not even really a spoiler, other than just there's a character that like eats documents with washing it down with children's tears. I'm like, dude, this is just gross. This contributes to nothing.
Over the top stuff. Yeah, that's just like spicy food.
Yeah,
it's way too spicy. You can't even taste anything. It's just like, what's the point?
Yeah, especially since the guy vomits it all up anyway. It's like, wow, you really had to film all this? But yeah, it can get pretty bad in that movie. But luckily it didn't like take away from anything from the story as a whole. The only thing I had a problem with in that movie was the ending. But I digress. Yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street, man, there's just, I don't think it gets enough credit. You know, a lot of people like go back and say, oh, I love the first Friday the 13th. I love the Saw movies or whatever. A lot of these franchises, and Freddy Krueger, even though he's well known and you know, there's so much like to love about it. I mean, it gets a lot of credit, but I don't think it gets enough. I think a lot of people look to the newer stuff nowadays, and your Hostels, your the Purge for the most part, and all of it is in good fun, but Nightmare on Elm Street was something special. I think it just opened up a lot of minds to newer ideas in cinema.
I agree.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it a lot, and I think back about it fondly, but it was scary.
Yeah, it was definitely freaked me out, and to this day, some things in the movie do still like scare me quite a bit, such as in a wrong way. I would say the very ending where the doll is pulled through the window or the door. And back, of course, when I was younger and I watched it, I was like, what the hell just happened? I got freaked out. And today I laugh. Because it's so unconvincing. I don't know. That was something funny. But other than that, like the special effects, I loved. I love how they did the Freddy on the wall, like through the wall scene, while during like in the nighttime hours. That was like so freaking good. I love that they didn't do CGI with that. They put like I believe it was a curtain on the wall. Did you hear about this?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, it was like there was like a I think it was a curtain. I'm not really sure, but they didn't have to resort to CGI to have that silhouette of Freddy going through into like morphing on the wall. And they did so on the remake. I don't know if did you watch the remake, by the way? Like I think it came out in 2009.
The one with the guy that played Rorschach
in Watchmen, yeah.
I saw that one, and that one, I mean, he looked ugly.
Yeah, well, he did, and I think that also contributed to his performance. He did. I thought he did it okay, Freddy, for the most part. But yeah, in that movie they resort to CGI for that specific callback, and I guess. Oh yeah, I would say like the original just there was just no matching it because he was there, you know. Right. It was there's a thing to say about CGI effects. I mean, CGI will always have its place in movies. I think, you know, without it we wouldn't have had great things like the Avengers, you know, stuff like that. So of course they're always going to have their place, but overdoing it and doing it when you know it doesn't look good, and then using it anyway in the final edit, I would say that can be frustrating at times when you know that the practicality or the practical effect would look more convincing.
They don't want to take the time or effort.
Yeah, or spend the money. It could be a lot of different factors, but it can always be amended. I mean, there are movies that effects have come into play where people didn't care for it, such as we both know this very well, Sonic the Hedgehog. People didn't like the effects on the original Sonic, so they completely wiped that and did a whole nother render.
Well, they got bullied into that. I mean, rightfully so. It did look really bad.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, I would have watched the movie either way, but
it wouldn't have stopped me either.
I would have been curious, though. I would have watched the original just to see like how the other scenes would have played out that weren't in the trailer.
Right. Maybe they should do a throw it on the internet.
Editor's cut.
Exactly. $5.
Yeah, there you go. It was already finished anyway. I mean, they were going to do it anyway. So it's like, why not just release and get more money out of it? I don't know. Sell it as it's like really piss people off and sell it as an audiobook. But yeah. So overall, would you say Nightmare on Elm Street is one of your favorites of the horror genre, or even I would say the original? What would you say it's the best Nightmare on Elm Street, at least?
I would think so. I mean, that was the first time anything like that happened, so it was shock value too.
Mm-hmm.
And but yeah, I think just the original stories are mainly better.
Yeah, no, I entirely agree. What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, and I think this is like that too. I think this was the best one out of all of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, and it freaked me out the most, but that's because I was young, so that's my excuse.
How do you feel about it now? I think you watched it recently, right?
Yeah, I watched it a few days ago, I think.
So what do you think of it now?
Monday night. I mean, knowing what's gonna happen helps out a lot. Definitely. But I still get anxious, you know, the music is intensified for sure, so
you know,
I mean,
you're
I
right.
it.
Oh yeah, that's great. No, I'm glad that I have that perspective now, because You know, I didn't actually watch it until I was maybe in my mid-20s for the first time, and it scared me back then. But like today, of course, I laugh at certain things, but it is still just, I mean, there's nothing else like it. And I feel like, you know, it's, yeah, there's really nothing else that's going to match it, really. At least in the feel. So yeah, I do have to mention, since you did bring it up, the music, stellar. Like, I don't think there's another soundtrack quite like it, you know, especially the, I guess the main theme, not really the chant from the little girls, but even though that's great too, I would say the theme is, bar none, like my favorite horror theme, like ever.
I think it's really good. I mean, I do enjoy the Halloween song. I think that's my all-time favorite.
Yeah, no, that's a great one too. The thing is, horror movies as a whole, like every one of them is pretty much, I don't think they can, anything else comes close to how great the horror movies soundtracks are. Everything from like Friday the 13th to Nightmare on Elm Street, like you said, Halloween, Saw even. I guess a lot of people go back to the Hello Zepp song for a lot of things. To The Exorcist. Like, Exorcist was one of the originals of horror, and everybody likes to look back at the man looking at being dropped off by the car and looking at the house, you know, with that music playing. It's just, I think horror movies get they get the nod for being having the best music from any genre, really.
And it's definitely the most influential to other movies. Like, the music in horror movies are way more influential to that movie rather than the music in other. Usually it's a the 80s song while they're training and whatnot, the montage songs.
Yes, Rocky, and you know what? I think that's like the biggest one that like ever is mentioned, because I think it was Rocky 4 probably that had 90% of the movie was montage or something. I don't remember exactly, but a lot of movies do that now. So to be completely fair to them, it works. I mean, the pumping up does work.
right, for sure.
But yeah, so it was great talking to you today. This is the first episode of the 5 Days of Dread, and I was just like your final thoughts. What do you think of Nightmare on Elm Street, like it would start to finish?
I think it starts off super hard, you know, with what's going on with Tina, and then you mentioned with the doll that kind of out there, but I think everything in between that was awesome. I really enjoyed it, like you said, with the music, the boiler room kill, the bed. Yeah, I just think all of it was a lot of fun, and like you said, it's like the first of its kind, original, so it was a little bit more special.
Oh, but yeah,
I would recommend it for sure, as if you've never seen it. But if you're a horror fan, probably should have already seen it by now.
Very true. Very true. A lot of people, I'm sure, already have. So thank you all for watching. This has been the first of the 5 Days of Dread, and thanks for David for joining me.
Thank you for having me on, Dan. Appreciate it. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it definitely was. This has been David and Dan, signing off. Don't fall asleep.
See you guys.